So yeah, a little bit about myself. Karthik here. So I have RHCSA certified in last year, and currently working as a senior system engineer in one of the MNC, and currently supporting around more than actually 9,000 plus servers. We migrated many servers. So yeah. So why Linux and why it is still relevant in 2023? Right? So many operating system has been like it's been there, and it still continues as like one of the leading one when it comes to enterprise. Right. So that is a very important question, and the answer to it, right? It's the main thing is the stability of the operating system. So stability and the how reliable it is over the period of time. So let's say you have a software which is like let me give a basic Windows example. So you have a media player or anything which is like 10 plus years old software. So it might not be compatible from Windows 7 to Windows 11 or Windows XP to Windows 11 like that, right? So whereas here, yeah. So whereas here there is a there would be compatibility issue for sure, but not to certain extent, right? So that is the one of the major key like how to say unique selling point for Linux, like how much it is still like relevant. Like if you still use like a kernel which is coded like 30 years ago by bunch of like a huge community members, and like still it's been relevant and usable. So that itself is a big achievement when it comes to a software especially. And like Linux is a operating system which is a software, right? So you need to combine your hardware, and it is kind of like a middleman, right? So and the main thing is why like as a sysadmin, or once you've completed the session, so what is the agenda, right? So the agenda is like in order to become a whole sysadmin as a whole, you need to understand the basis of or the basic premise of what a sysadmin should do. Obviously there would be an environment in every company. Let's say let's take a basic example like TCS, okay, or Infi or Infosys. Like. So in Infosys, you have around let's say 5,000 servers. So all the 5,000 servers won't be a Linux machine for sure. So the Linux machine servers, so how that whole servers are like combined using the networking, like how the servers are connected and how each can communicate and like how to take a remote session. A lot of things would be considered, right? So what is the network latency and whatnot. So the infra system or the infra layer of a system is very crucial when it comes to running a successful business, right? So it is very critical for a infra to be like not perfect. For sure, any infra won't be a perfect one, but it should be reaching that like level, right? So that is the thing. And in order to reach that, you need to have these 5 pillars, right? So this is a common one for any operating system. Let's say for Windows also, this would be the same. So the first thing is your user management, and the next one is your disk, and third one is your process, fourth one is your troubleshooting. So this is where, as a sysadmin, you would differ from the other roles in your company. And the fifth one is obviously networking, the basic networking knowledge you must have. So the next thing is why we need all these 5 things, right? So, or the 5 pillars. So why? Because a user, or let's say in that server, who will be the like who would log into that machine? Obviously the employees or the members of the team, right? So in order to manage, so let's say it is a small company, obviously you can manage individually. Whereas when it comes to a MNC, it would be a hassle for even just managing their own employees, right? So that is where your user management comes in, and very, very important when it comes to enterprise. So like not only in exam point of view, but like let's say user management is like so crucial in most cases. Okay, so not only in like pen and paper. So practically, it's very crucial, right? So the next one is obviously disk management. So disk management we do like skip in our lab or our personal machines. So we don't consider it too critical, as it's our own data, right? So and we don't have a very critical data at the end. So the major critical one is like your photos and videos or something, right? So whereas in a business or in an enterprise system, the data is the like that is the cash flow, right? So very, very important in order to manage those data and to secure it. So that's where your disk management is also a crucial one. And next thing is your process management. So this is where Linux and Windows are drastically different. How they approach a process, right? So that's where. So we will see how it works extensively. And fourth one, as a sysadmin, you should know how to troubleshoot an issue. So not a server based. Let's say it is a hardware issue or let it be any issue. So you should be in a position that to at least approach how, or you need to have your own noble idea how to approach that issue. So you need not even solve that at the end, but just to have that idea how to approach that issue itself is a kind of a win-win situation for you and your team. So you give an idea, and there would be a counter idea in that call or in your within your team itself. But at least you should be in a position to give a idea. So that is what we will achieve during a session, at least based on a server point of view or this OS point of view. And the next one is obviously networking. So networking, why I gave it as a basic networking is, so the basic is like the IP and the DNS and lot of things to be considered, right? So networking is a separate subject altogether. Whereas we won't dwell too much into that, but from the OS point of view, like how to configure each, like let's say you have an IP, how to make it static, and like how to add a route, how to make a host entries. So those kind of things. Okay, so that's the like those are all the basic things we will be seeing, and this is like on the whole the five pillars like which we will revolve around in this whole session. And yeah, so this is the basic things. And like now the main thing is like the whole course will be revolving around again over a certification. So the main certificate which we will see is RHCSA. Okay, so RHCSA is the certificate which is like accredited by Red Hat. So who is Red Hat now? Right. So Red Hat is a MNC. So and let me go to their site. So Red Hat has been in the picture for so long. And what does Red Hat makes, and what is their how to say hugely successful product is their Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is a distribution of a Linux operating system. Okay, so what is Linux distribution now? So in your Windows, you have Windows 7, 8, and 11 or 10, right? So you have multiple iteration of the same Windows operating system, which is on the whole controlled or provided by Microsoft. It is a closed operating system or closed environment. So you can't, let's say you need to make a change to a settings. Obviously, you can't. To a certain extent, you can. So let's say you want to rename something, which is obviously you can't do that if it is like even though you are an admin, you can't do that. To a certain extent, only you can make changes to in Windows, especially. Whereas in Linux, Linux is an open source or open source operating system. So you can make a change to a kernel level. So we will see in upcoming session what is kernel, by the way. So you can make changes to the kernel is like a core of a system, right? So you can even make change to that, as well as you can change the how the system like the basic premises, like how to make it perform to its best, or how to do a power saving mode also you can do. Like it's based on your requirement at the end of the day. So and why Red Hat is still relevant, and why they are kind of a market leader when it comes to enterprises, right? So their main support system, or how they support their clients. Okay, so they have a suite of products. So if you see here, a lot of products they own, and they have a they pioneered it actually. So they've been in this industry for quite some time, like around 20 plus years. So they have their own container. So Red Hat OpenShift, and so like they have their Ansible is also owned by Red Hat actually, right? So a lot of things Red Hat has in their suite, and yeah. So this is like Red Hat OpenStack platform, and lot of stuff, right? So, so why their certification now? So now you might ask that. So why RHCSA? Why not? There is a low or the basic level of certification is also there. So why not that? Or why not the advanced one? RHCE is the advanced one, which is Red Hat Certified Engineer. So why not? Yeah, we should go to that one instead of RHCSA, right? So the first thing is RHCE you can do, but the prerequisite is your RHCSA. So if you do that, this would be a, so you must do this actually. So RHCSA you must do, and there are again, so Red Hat has been, as I told, quite some time, right? So the current version of the Red Hat operating system is RHEL 9.2. Okay, so it's like ninth version. So this is the current operating system or current version of it, and that's what we will be seeing. And like this is applicable even for 8 as well. So you might let's say you have an certificate of RHEL 7 or prior to that. Obviously, the certificate would be a valid one, but the point here is the Red Hat certification has its own credibility since it is a practical one, and the expiry is of 3 years. So after 3 years, you need to renew it once again. Okay, so by attending a exam, but it won't be as same questions as, or it won't cost you that huge, right? So that is another thing to be considered. So you should renew your certificate every 3 years to be a valid one. And that's what, like if you are having a RHEL 6 certificate, it won't be applicable now. It's just like 9 years, I guess. RHEL 6 has been launched. So that's the thing. And as I told, it is a practical exam, and that's what. So, like any doubts in the till now? Like we anyhow, I'll go to the syllabus. So once I'm like I get a basic idea how or what would be the syllabus over the over to the batch, like around 20 plus days. So once we done that, we can see the doubts. Okay. So this link again, we will come back to that. So the syllabus part. So like the syllabus is like we won't go in a sequential way. First thing, so obviously we will go from basics to advanced, but not in like as per the exact points, right? So once I teach you how the booting procedure works, so I might teach you this another step as well. So like that. So, but all these topics will be covered over the course. And let me like so this is the introduction to the our operating system. I given RHEL 8. So even RHEL 9 is not as like it won't be very different, right? So it will be RHEL 8 and 9 are almost same. RHEL 7 and 8 would be drastically different. So we'll see what is the difference and all in later session. Sorry, in tomorrow's session at least. Okay, and so the main thing, or many would have an idea, is that Linux is all about commands. Why? Because we have GUI and CLI, right? So GUI is a graphical user interface, and CLI is a command line interface, right? So what is this? Like, let me give a basic idea. So a GUI, a best example is what you are seeing now, right? So your Windows operating system. So you are interacting with the machine using some of the graphic elements, or the main element which you are interacting is your cursor, right? So with your mouse cursor, you can click an icon or a settings or whatever you want, and it will be interactive, right? So that is the main thing. So if you simply hover over your mouse to something, it like we are highlighting it, right? So or we are let I'm just doing a double click, so it will be selected. So these kind of things are graphical. So without that, you can't do anything, right? So at least in Windows. So that is the main thing. And in your Windows itself, you have command prompt. So this command prompt is your CLI. Okay, so CLI means you need to type some commands. Again, it should not be some vague command that like let's say some random letters like W, A or something. So the system need to identify that command, right? So let's say your dir command is to see what are all the directories, or sorry, what are the contents of this directory where we are now, right? So cd is to change the directory. So like that, you are interacting with the machine or to this current machine using only the commands, or it is called as binaries. Okay, so you are interacting with that only. This is the only way actually. So since even though you see a cursor, you can't at least you can select it or doing stuff, but like at the end you should be performing only or interacting with the machine only using your commands or whatever you type in your keyboard, right? So that is the difference between your GUI and CLI. And why commands are important is mostly in your Linux servers in your enterprise, there is no need of a graphic or GUI, right? Why? Because the main purpose of the server is to provide its full potential to the application, or let's say storage or whatever, like the team or the project would require. So in order to give its full potential, if you introduce a graphics element to that, obviously the performance would drop, but not to a like a huge drop it would be, but it is not needed in the first place, right? So that is the thing. And mostly CLI is what we will be interacting with the machine, and that's where your commands comes in, and there is around 2000 plus commands are there. So obviously we won't see all those 2000 commands, so that is absurd, right? So we will see at least 150 to 200 commands so over the course, over the period of the course. And obviously there are many options inside the same command, so that would give a lot of like how powerful that command would be, especially. And trust me, don't like CLI is far easier, uh, compared to your GUI. So for in GUI, you need to go to a simple settings also. Or in order to do a simple task, you need to do multiple steps. Whereas in CLI, within a single command or array of commands, you can do that. Right. So that is the main thing. And the next in tomorrow's session itself, we will install our lab. Okay, so again, we will install in our local machine as well as a cloud instance. So I mentioned AWS here, whereas we will see how to install in AWS and GCP as well. Okay, and why AWS and GCP not Azure is like Azure is not giving a like $100 free they used to give. So now it is only for students. And if you are a student, obviously feel free to use Azure. So, but most people, so you need to upload your like ID card and stuff. So that's the thing. So if you don't want all those hassles, so please do consider using AWS, who is giving around 1 year of free tier. Okay, and your GCP is giving around $300 free credit. Okay, and you can use it for 90 days. That is the important thing, and 90 days is more than enough for practicing at least. So practice, and you can even complete your exam. Okay, so the next thing is your performance monitoring. So this is where like you will dwell too deep in enterprise, how they approach a system. So let me open my task manager in my Windows machine. So this is where your all your metrics comes in. So CPU, memory, and your disk, as well as your Ethernet or your GPU. In some cases, GPU are needed, right? So that's the thing. So how they approach a monitoring in enterprises. So obviously, let's say if it is a 2 to 3 servers, obviously a single person can monitor. So right, so with like help of 2 or 3 monitors, you can do, right. So actively you can monitor, but in enterprise of around 5,000 plus servers, obviously you can't do that. And if you do, still you need a lot of manforce, right? So that is where monitoring tools comes in, right? So there are so many monitoring tools are there, which is like let me give a basics or a famous one like Dynatrace, Splunk, ELK stack. So like that, a lot of tools are there. New Relic and Zabbix. So like that, the list goes on actually. So yeah, that's what, like you have your internally also you do have some of the monitoring basic commands or basic tools per se, but here like you will have a dedicated tool. So what is the use of these tools are? You can create an alert. So let's say there is a threshold of so let me take a memory example. So there is a threshold of 80%. So if it crosses that, I will receive an email or I will receive an alert in some form, at least in an email or let's say some pop-up window or something, right? So, but I should receive an alert. So you can set that alert here in your any one of the monitoring tools. So that's the advantage of doing performing a monitoring thing. And the next one is your user management, and this is extensively you see what is user management and why it is too important, right? So and what is super user and how it is interact like sorry integrated with your machine, right? So those things we will see, and the group management very important. And the next one is your basic OS concept. So this would be I might or I for sure will compare it with your Windows, so easily you can understand. So when it comes to your archive or how do a global search works, right? So and how to do a remote connection. So I will for sure make a comparison between Windows and our Red Hat, right? So that's the thing. So now that's what how how to manipulate your file and how this hard link and soft link works and the file permissions. So again, in your Windows, you don't consider much about your file permissions, and here that is very important, especially like since security is one of the key feature, so this would be like no brainer, right? So you must understand how it works. And the next one is your basic sysadmin activities, like how the booting procedure works. So that's what we will see in after the installation in next session. After this, we will see this one, like how does the what is the booting procedure especially, and how how to interrupt that, right? So those things we will see in the next session if time permits once we install. And yeah. Yeah, Abdul. So everything will be a practical one. That's the thing. So like there won't be a theory. From the next session itself, it will be a practical one. So don't worry. Yeah, why? Because especially the that's the key, RHCSA. Why still it's has its own credibility, right? So it is a practical exam at the end of the day. There is no MCQ or whatsoever, right? So that's the thing. So every topic, whatever you see here, it will be a practical explanation. And each day, so whatever I'm explaining you, so if you practice, that's it. That itself is more than enough for the exam perspective. So yeah. And the next one is how to identify if there is a spike in your CPU or memory metrics, right? So how to kill a process. So these things, so don't worry. So these are all not an advanced one. So, but you should act on it, right? So if there is a issue in your in your team, sorry, in a server, and as a team member, you should contribute and like obviously everything you will be receiving as a ticket and yeah. So these are all basic things, especially for a sysadmin to be performing. Mhm. Yeah. And the next one is obviously your logs. So what is a log now? So log is nothing but uh, even like a timely event or a record of a timely event. So it is nothing like a ledger. It is the same actually. So in a ledger, you will have a time, date and time, and what is that event which is happening, right? So or like who performed it. So like that, the same thing goes for your system logs or your like let's say there is any application change or anything, so you will be performing that, right? So all everything will be logged, especially in a server. So even in your Windows machine or Windows server also, it will be logged. So that's what we will be manipulating that log and see, or we will be doing a postmortem report. That we should go back in time and see where it went wrong. So that's an important thing. So like let's say there is a server issue where server is crashed. So obviously you will reboot the machine and it will be up. But you should you should go to the time where it the issue started and why it is started and how to prevent that in the future. So those kind of uh, basic things you should do, especially. So for that, logs will be the only way for you to identify where it or at what time it went wrong, right? So that's what we will be doing in this one. And yeah, journals is also the same, and all the uh, like service-based commands or your process management. All this start, stop, or check the status of the service, and if a service is failing and where it fails, so those kind of stuff, and how to securely transfer a file between different servers like SCP and your RC. Okay, and the next one is your LVM. So what is an LVM? And this is a disk management concept. It is called as logical volume management. Okay, so we will see extensively how this works. Why? Because LVM or the disk management is what you on day-to-day basis you will be performing. Obviously, you it's not that okay you will create a partition on daily basis, for sure. No, you will be working on like extending a partition or cleaning a disk, right? So those kind of stuff. As a sysadmin, you will be the only person who's having the full privilege or a admin privilege in the whole environment or different projects. You will be the only person having that credentials. So that's what, like, these are all the basic premise you must do. No other option for that, right? So that's the thing. So a lot of like how to format it to a specific format, and how to manipulate it, right? So how to extend, resize, remove, and create. So all these we will be seeing, and how to mount it to make it persistent. So all those we'll be seeing, and this strategies and video is a advanced concept of that. Okay, and the next one is your so as I told, security is one of the key feature for any operating system. So that is one of the like a factor which you will be considered to decide which operating system you want, right? So it's that critical component. So that would decide, okay, let's say if there is a security is less in an operating system, obviously you will ignore that, right? So it is that important. And since Red Hat or RHEL is for an enterprise where it must be secure, no other option. So why it is like Linux is considered is like for having a SC Linux concept. So SC Linux is secure Linux, and your firewall is so we will see how to configure a firewall and how SC Linux works, and how to restrict a user to use very few commands in his shell. So all those things we will be seeing in this session or in this topic. Okay, so the next one is your networking. So as I told, networking is a huge topic. And so yeah, so networking is a huge topic, and we won't see a lot like from basics. So we will see in the or like on the OS point of view, like how to configure it, on how to create a static IP, how the like how to do a etc post entries, and all the network services or commands related to that. Okay, and yeah, so that like how to create a route. So those kind of things we will be seeing. And the next one is your containers. So Red Hat has their own container. So on next session, we will see that as well. So what is the difference between a virtual machine or a virtualization and containers, and how containers revolutionize the infra or the way it is approached, right? So that's what like let me show you that. Yeah, so Red Hat, so like you guys might have heard the Docker, right? So Docker is a like kind of market leader for containers, and Red Hat has their own version called as Podman. So Podman is like 85 to 90% same like your Docker, right? So it is capable, but not as capable as Docker. But yeah, you can learn it, and it is easy, right? So the first thing, and you can expect this one in your exam. And the last one is your VMware vSphere. So this is what you will be seeing in your enterprise. So like you won't see what you will be working on, like VMware workstation. You won't use that in an enterprise server, whereas you will use your vSphere. Okay, and coming back to your resource, so this is the link. So let me post it in the chat. Uh, yeah. So this is the link to our resource, Linux NL. So please do click that link and bookmark it. Okay, so that is very important. Why? Because anything and everything related to our course will be shared here. Okay, so that's the thing. And for the tomorrow's session, or like okay, so before that, is there any doubts in the syllabus? Like, so like you have any topics which you want me to explain a bit more for you to identify or understand? And yeah, any doubts as of now? And all these topics are enough for you to approach to the exam. And this is the exam's question, by the way. Obviously, you don't expect the same questions, right? So it would be in the same format, right? So I did receive like the same format, like there would be a networking question, at least one networking question, one M repo configuration question, one based on SE Linux, like that. So that's what, like the whole syllabus is kind of tailored on your exams point of view only. As well as obviously some topics you see here of, won't be in your exam. So it is like, so your system diagnostic, right? So those things won't be in your exam, and your troubleshooting and all. So those are all for your experience, and that's what, like from a beginner to intermediate level, this course is like that's the target audience, right? So the next one is your user management question and your cron job for automation, and select job scheduling, and your, that's what, like so many would be there, file permissions, and this is all disk management, and lastly your container. And with that, the questions are done. So the question or the weightage of your exam is around 300 marks. So 210 is your pass mark actually, right? So, and again, please don't right away attend the exam once we are done with the session. So please do practice it, since it everything is a practical. You see, there is no multiple choice, right? As I told, so it is a practical exam. And if you miss a command, or if you're stuck somewhere, so let's say this question one. So if you didn't configure this networking or this static IP, right? So you can't proceed further with any of these questions. Why? Because like you have two servers. So there is another document here. So this is what you will see in your exam. So you have a server A and B. So for server A, you must configure the networking, right? So this is what you see. Server A, you should configure the networking, and even this file, please do download and keep it handy. So all your commands or whatever the answer for that question, it will be here, right? So without this configuring, sorry, without configuring this question, you can't log into that mission first. Okay, so that's what you can proceed further. So it is that critical. So each question would be, and I'm not explaining this to like to think that okay, it is a very tough exam. Obviously not. It is an entry level exam, first thing, and yeah, easily you can identify or understand each question and answer it, right? So that is the important thing. And so don't think that okay, once you join the session you will have access to this resource. So it just bookmark this one. So like it won't be removed or the link won't be changed. Okay. So please don't mind about my voice. I'm not feeling well actually for the day. Okay. And yeah, is there any doubts, anyone, like in the syllabus part? And the exam cost, right? So again, you can't register for exam yourself. So you need to reach out to one of the vendors or official vendors from Red Hat. So just so EX200 is the exam code. Okay, so just go to that, and if you see this objective, so you just if you see here, all the topics would be the same actually. So your networking, your basic process management, this all. So everything will be covered in a section. Okay, so that's the thing. And if you're still not sure, so you can go through my previous session recording. So this is the day 2 recording of my previous batch. So you can go through that and like see my uh, how I'm approaching each topic, right? So this is the YouTube channel link. So let me send it in the chat. And yeah, so the exams, yeah, patching also will be doing something. Actually, I didn't mention here, but we will see patching also. So the exam cost is around 19,500, including GST and all. So yeah, so for the people who are already working in a company, so please try to reimburse if you have an option. And it is how to say, it is has its own benefits. So don't think that okay, it is a huge amount and uh, like, don't fear about this exam, by the way. So it is a good thing that you are on your journey to your Linux path, especially, right? So, and what are all the roles you can apply after like you're done with the session, right? So that is important, and I do like ask that question a lot. So these are all the roles, by the way. So obviously sysadmin, right? So the next one is your DevOps engineer. So obviously, right away you are not eligible for a DevOps engineer per se, but this would create a foundation level. So without Linux or without this basic idea how Linux commands works or how the Linux shell works, you can't work on any other tools. Let's say Ansible depends on Linux, and your even your cloud like Azure CLI or any one of the CLI, right? So basic commands at least you will be having. So that's the thing. So you can expect like at least a basic idea how a DevOps culture works, and you must have a understanding that okay, Linux, obviously Linux would be there for a while, especially in enterprise. So you must have a basic idea how to at least work in a Linux environment, because DevOps is like operations also you need to do, right? So that's the thing. And obviously SRE. So SRE is site reliability engineer. So this is like a advanced level or almost same level like your DevOps. So that's what like you should right. You are not right away eligible first thing, but you are on a path of this role. Let's say this is your dream role. So you can like once you're done with Linux, you can study for your cloud or that's what like a lot of tools you must know, especially in when it comes to SRE or DevOps. So you should know that. Okay, and that's what. So these three roles you can apply, and even platform engineer. So platform engineer in the sense, in many companies, the the job description or the role differs, but that's what, like when if it is a CLI based tool, so it will have a shell. Especially if there is a shell, almost like most of the commands, it would be the same. That's the thing. Okay, so if you work in a Linux environment, you will have a flow with the commands, right? So first thing, you won't have the fear of commands, that okay, which command to be utilized or used in that particular scenario. So that's the thing. So these four roles you are eligible, especially, but sysadmin you can apply right away. Once if you are certified, that is even better. So that's the thing. And yeah, so once you're done with RHCSA, you can apply. Oh, sorry, you can attend RHCE, or there is around 29 certifications actually in your Red Hat. So you can do all those if you have time. So that's the thing. And yeah, hi. Okay, Ola, right? So your name, sorry, I butcher your name, but yeah. So yeah, today is the first session. So the announcement for the day is like, so this is the first session, right? So uh, like it would be spanning around at least 20 days. So it might go more than that based on like how much doubts you ask. Since it is a practical one, so we will see some topics extensively. So it would be roughly around 20 to 25 days or 25 hours. Okay, so that's the duration. So that's what, like so again 1 hour, like it might extend based on the like how to say, if there is an issue, we will try to resolve on that day, right? So that's the thing. And it is not a free course, by the way. So it is around 4K. So 3,999, and in USD it is around $48, right? So that's what, like please go through my previous recordings or today's one, and so yeah, if you understand the uh, like how I'm approaching that topic, so once you're sure, you can pay for the session, and it will be considered like how to say, um, uh, in upcoming sessions only for the paid candidates. The link will be shared, right? So your like Zoom link, right? So that's the thing. And if you're having any doubts, except payment, if you're having any doubts, so please reach out to me. Like in your syllabus, also, if you still having any like you're stuck somewhere, or if you want me to explain some of the topics a bit more, please do reach out to me in this mail ID. Okay, and these are all the resource. So this is the same link, by the way, the drive link, and you must download this ISO and VMware. Okay, so that for the next session. So ISO and VMware. So what is ISO? ISO is what your operating system is. So yeah, this is the one, and it is around 9.4 gigs. So now you might ask, okay, I did told that Linux is a lightweight and a faster operating system compared to Windows, and but it is huge one, right? But why? Because it includes the packages as well. All let's say the packages are nothing but your Windows store you have, right? So all the apps in the store. So around the 7,000 plus packages are included with this ISO. So hence that is a huge one, and we need that packages, by the way. Not all, but few packages are needed. Yeah. So this link. So this is the link. So So you must download this ISO and this VMware Workstation Pro 16.2. So this one, exe. So why? Because so with this tool only you will be installing in the local machine. Right. So this is that tool, by the way. And this is a VM from previous batch. So yeah. So without this tool, you can't work on it. So this is for the local machine. And for a virtually we will perform this one. And like if your system is not capable enough, so please do consider using one of the cloud. So I will explain you how to initiate how to start a instance in your cloud in any one of the cloud. Okay. So yeah, and there is another way to download if you're stuck. Since it is a huge one, if there is any network issue, your file will be like stopped. So for that, so you have torrent way or a different method, and it is the same file. So don't download twice. Okay, so if this one is not working in your case, right? So please do download using torrent. So this is the uTorrent link. So this link, if I try to upload in Drive, it won't allow me. So that's the reason I gave the link in the like here, right? So that's one. So please do download these two files, guys. So that is the important thing. And the next one is like that's one. So first 3 to 4 sessions itself would be a free one, okay, and after that it will be only for the paid candidate. So that you can identify and understand, okay, how I am approaching each topic, and if you are still fine with my way of approach, you can consider paying for the session and you can join, right? So that's the thing. And any communication related to the session, like let's say if I'm not available on that day, or any communication, especially it will be like communicated only with the WhatsApp group for that. Yeah, Hanuma. Just give a minute. Give a minute. Okay, so just click on this link, right? So okay, did it change the link? Is it? Okay, just a second. Yeah. So this is the group. So please do click join chat. Okay, so yeah, so that you won't be missed out on like let's say if there is like if I'm not available, or if like all the first 3 days recording link also would be shared in this group, right? So actually it will be uploaded here as well, but mostly it will be shared. So please do consider joining that group, right? So that's the thing. Yeah, Hanuma, I unmuted you. So okay. Is there any doubts, anyone?
Hi, Karthi.
Yeah, Hanuma.
How to
Okay.
download
Yeah.
that software, that ISO image?
How to download it? Just right click on this one. So just first thing, go to that link.
This which URL I need to click and download?
First thing, just type bit.ly/linuxll. Okay. So once you just give enter, so you will be redirected to this link. Okay. So the first thing is go to this ISO and VMware directory. Double click that, and this last file, the one ends with .iso, right? So and this above one, this VMware Workstation Pro 16.2 exe,
Last
right?
two
So
ones I need to download it.
yeah, exactly. So you don't select both and download. So if you do that, so it will be performing a zip. So that would take long time. So please don't do that. right? So select one by one and download it. So last two files.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is for the people who are having at least the RAM of or your memory of 4 gigs, right? So and your CPU should be at least 2 cores should be there. Why? Because so even 1 core is enough, but the 1 core we will be allocating to the VMware, right? So at least 2 core and 4 gigs of RAM. And how to verify this one? And I hope most people use Windows here. So in your Windows, you just go to your task manager. So just right click in your taskbar and go to task manager. This is the one. And so this would be your dashboard. Select the second one, performance, and you see the CPU. So this is your core count. So in my case, I have 6 cores and 12 threads. So you can ignore the threads or the processors here. So the 6 cores. So if you see 2 here, that itself is fine. And in your memory, at least 4. So in my case, I have 8. Okay, so at least 4, which is more than enough. And most people would have at least 4, at least as of now. So that's the thing. If it is an old laptop, it would be for sure slow. Why? Because your disk would be slow, right? And if you have an SSD, that is great. So it would be at least faster. So that's the thing. And if your system requirement is not up to the level, or you're not like, let's say you are having only enterprise laptop, not a personal laptop. So please do consider using AWS or your GCP. Okay, so I don't worry about that. Okay, how to initiate or how to start an instance, what is an instance, especially in the cloud. So don't worry about those things. I will explain each and everything, and that's what. So please do go through my previous recording if you are still like, if you want to know like how I explain, and yeah. So I'm new to all this. I think it's just like yeah, actually, sorry, I'm not getting your name. So Ola Lake, right? So Ola Lake. So yeah, for sure, I'll explain very slow, especially. So that's what. Until you guys are fine with the topics, I will make sure you guys understand it, and that's what. So you can go through my previous batches. There is a lot of videos, by the way, in the channel recently, since a lot of new courses has been added. So yeah, this is my previous weekday batch. So there is a weekend batch also happening, and how to enroll to the course, right? So so just go to this link and go to courses, and this is the first one. So click on it. Click on buy course, and you need to log in first thing. And once you logged in, click hit on pay, and any payment method is applicable actually. So if you're stuck with any payment issue, or if you paid and still it is not reflecting in your dashboard or any issue, so please drop an email to that support group. So this is the so this is the communication one. So you can reach out to them and they would support you for sure. And yeah, Prashant. So Linux admin knowledge is very, very important, especially for a DevOps guy. Why? Because since it is an so most cases you will be working as a operations. DevOps is like a 60-40 rule, right? So obviously you will develop something, but not to a certain extent, right? So mostly you will be doing a scripting as well as automation and stuff, but you will be doing in a enterprise server, right? So server knowledge is a must, especially for a DevOps engineer, as well as for SRE. So, yeah. Certification, it's your choice, Prashant. Obviously, I'm not forcing everyone to do the certification, but if you're doing it, it is good actually, right? So if you are starting your journey as a uh, like especially DevOps engineer or Linux admin, so this would be a starting point because you are having an objective or a career path, right? So you, if you have this certificate, it would add a, like, how to say, the credibility to your resume, especially. That's it. There won't be any monetary benefits or something. So that's what, like, it is a structured one, this certificate, if you do. And that's what, like, our session is also tailored based on this certification only. So it's your choice. So if you're doing the certificate, like, it's good for you. And there are many certificates, especially in the DevOps tools. So we will see those later. And someone asked if I'm, yeah, sorry, Vinod, Vinod Chandran, I missed your message. So yeah, so I will show you how to create a dashboard, especially New Relic. It is straightforward. And Splunk. So Splunk is for log monitoring. So we will see that. We know. Okay, so we will see that. So Dynatrace, actually Dynatrace is a paid one. So like even trial one is you need to pay for the trial as well. So that's what. Splunk and New Relics are open source. Splunk is again a paid one, but it is a trial is of 60 days is there. So I will show you. So yeah. So yeah, sorry for extending the session. So please, again, let me repeat. So do download these two files for next session. And tomorrow session, the agenda is like to install and set up your lab. Since everything will be a practical one, you must have a working lab environment to practice or do anything, especially in Linux, right? So yeah, and don't worry about the key. So I will show you how to install the key and all. So yeah. And yeah, that's it for the day, guys. If you still have any doubts, and this PPT and like everything will be shared in the group chat of your WhatsApp, as well as it will upload. It will be uploaded in the YouTube channel as well. So let me send the YouTube channel's link. Today's session also will be uploaded there. So yeah. So sorry for my voice actually. So I'm not feeling well. So that's the hence the voice is a bit low. So yeah, thanks all then. Hope to see you guys in tomorrow's session. Yeah.